as far as birthday goes, how was 41?
It was basically how you would expect a 41-year-old guy who has 3 kids who lives in the suburbs birthday goes. That's exactly how it went. Absolutely. Got
socks up high, white socks up high,
socks up
shorts,
high.
short shorts, bike shorts, and walking
doing
around.
taxes and getting. I got great cards from my kids and my wife, and great call from my mom and dad. And beyond that, it was business as usual.
All right. Well, not such a great game. Not awful, not great, as we will, for the Boston Bruins. We welcome you into Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor, going over the Boston Bruins 4-3 overtime loss to the New Jersey Devils. Morning Brew brought to you right now by Fazenda Coffee Roasters and by Sparks, the great Sparks sharpener. And we'll touch on both those a little bit later in the show, but as always, we thank them. All right, so listen, let's get right to it. A lot of stuff to get to here. Not so much about the game, but perhaps just a few players in particular and maybe the meaning of certain things here and there. And we're not going to overread into things because I think we know that Bruce Cassidy and his staff are looking at a lot of different things here and there. But the one issue that a lot of people are going to be talking about or question is going to be goaltending. Let's just get right to it. All right. So happy freaking birthday, by the way. Yep. All right.
Thanks.
Many more.
Thanks for the chicken parm tonight. Much appreciated.
If hopefully we have time to discuss our latest version on chicken parm, Lane. Yeah. And I did already take a stomach heartburn preventer because I had the worst case of heartburn at 2:38 in the morning after Monday's game. Every once in a while it gets me, and I hadn't thought about it, but it's tomato sauce, man. It's the acid in it.
Absolutely.
Oh my God! It was like somebody was like burning. Yeah. Having a fire like a bonfire in my chest. And then I remembered,
tomato sauce, extra sauce. Yeah,
you can't eat it any other.
We do a whole show on tomato sauce. We don't eat it very much anymore. Aaron and I, we don't eat it very much because of that.
And by the way, I'm 52, so wait until you get in your 50s. It even sucks more. So, overall, let's get the goaltending. Jaro Halak ends up playing this game. A little bit of a surprise. We thought Swayman was going to start. Bruce Cassidy and his staff make a change and decided to go with Jaro, who hadn't played much at all lately due to COVID, due to, Swayman playing well, coming back in. Gets the game. My very uneducated take is this. My forward take is this. He didn't play poorly, but he didn't play great. How's that?
Yeah.
He played like the rest of the team as it went on, especially in the third period where I thought they really looked tired and mentally not focused on moving the puck well, not handling it well. And I thought he had the same type of thing as the game went on.
Similar. And as a former veteran goalie who worked his way out of the league and unfortunately, I didn't have as good of a career as Jaro did and where he's at. But we all end up in the place that Jaro's in, or most of us do. There's Marty Brodeurs, there's guys, but most of us do. And I feel for him tonight a little bit in the fact that you have this young kid coming on and everyone's talking about him and he's 6-2 and everything's great and you get COVID and you can't get back in the lineup and you've sat out for 17 starts and you go into a game and you grind and you're working and you feel pretty good about things for 49 minutes and everything's going your way, your team's playing well, and then your team lets up a little bit. And that's the reality of it. The team let up a little bit, and at the end of the day, Jaro's the one that wears it. And he didn't get a break at the end. He made a couple really nice saves at 3-3. Didn't get a break on the second goal. Didn't get a save on the third goal. Then you get to overtime, and the Bruins just aren't good in overtime. That's the reality of it. They found a way at the start of the season, but they're not good. They don't have a plan. They don't do it well. And you saw the frustration at the end. That's veteran goalie frustration, understanding where he's at. And he might get another start. They might look at it and give him another opportunity. But I think he felt it tonight.
But not likely.
Yeah,
but not. It doesn't feel likely.
It doesn't feel likely. It feels like now they're going to want to get Swayman 2 more starts to really feel comfortable if they need him in the playoffs, which we've talked about it. If they go back to back at any point, I don't see them going rask, at least until the third round, fourth round, if they get that.
Or let's say it's a game 5, then clinching game 6 type scenario. You know, I mean, you have to. I think you have to. That's where you have to. I mean, that's where your number one goalie has to play back to back. First round or third round. I mean,
but
I know
that's a whole nother story. So yeah, I shouldn't have brought that part up. You know what? It's a playoffs. Go. But yeah, that's another thing. Just talking Jaro, I felt it tonight as an old goalie, and I've been in that spot where I felt that you're just in that situation where you've gone a long ways, you've had a long road, and you just feel like it's coming to an end.
So, overtime goal, was he too deep or no? I mean, that's a hard play. I want to get into the overtime goal a little bit more too. The Pastrnak, Kuraly, Clifton unit that was out there. I thought Pasta was very slow to react. I also thought he was slow through the neutral zone, coming back a little bit, watching instead of jamming back, either stay on or get off type of thing. But I want to ask just specifically about from where when Zacha gets the puck, and does he have a lot of room, and he's salivating there, right? And he goes to his backhand, and when you have time to load on your backhand, and you're a pro, I mean, forget about just a whatever player, but you have time to load as a pro on your backhand. Oh man, you can rocket that thing up quick.
Yeah, and
that's what he did.
Great skill. So the issue for that play for a goaltender is how high David Pastrnak is, and you can look at the video and how high he is, because what happens is Zacha can then take a little bit more room. We talk about gap. I talk about gap. Goaltenders, their advantage, just like a defenseman, is gap, and they want to get close to it. And Jaro's very good at that. Jaro has made a living off of getting his hands forward, moving forward, driving, taking angles away, taking trajectory away. But when David's that far up, he can then take 3 or 4 or 5 inches closer to the hash marks, which gives him more room. He doesn't allow Jaro to jam him in tight. And that's the difference. And to your point, he can load up and he can pull himself away from the net a little bit to give himself a better trajectory to that top corner. And Jaro's he's not big enough if he can't get a good gap. And what happens is if he tries to fly out and take that gap away, Zacha pulls it back, goes forehand, short side, and then he really looks like a dummy. So because he has so much room there, he has that leverage, that check mark on Jaro that he can't take both.
Right. So let's work in reverse. So the overtime goal, it's a curious threesome that's on the ice. Yet Kuraly was having a good game, and he's out there with Pasta, but it had been a longer shift. I don't know Pasta's shift length in front of me.
And if we pull it all the way back, they win the draw in the defensive zone. Kuraly wins the puck. They have control into the offensive zone, and Kuraly toe picks, he falls, and they just don't have a good game plan when they get in the offensive zone to create space for each other. And it turns into a turnover every time. And as soon as he turned it over, they came back, and then all of the stuff, the penalty and everything else. But they had control of that. They won the face-off in their zone, and they had control. And a minute and a half later, they just blew it.
Right. It was too long. Pastrnak kind of looks at the bench, then he keeps coming back. Okay, there's probably a little, what should I do? Comes into his own zone, and then he was I'm not going to go over everything you said because you hit it right, but he was too high. Like, look, it's a delayed penalty. So why are you chasing up top? In fact, let them stand up top. Let Hughes stay 48 feet away, whatever it is. Let him stay up there. And if anything, if Hughes is going to beat you with a shot from 35 or 38 feet if he skates in, well, I like Jaro's chances on that more than I do a chance down low that Pavel Zacha ends up getting. You got to fade down. You've got to work your way down and triangle up, basically, and take away that play to Zacha. But they don't do that, and so they score. All right. That's it. Let's keep working backwards. It's 2-2. And then the Bruins get a goal from Sean Kuraly, who had a very good game. I mean, he did. He's showing himself better. He's playing. It's interesting. I think with better line mates, he's starting to show a little bit better read on when to move the puck and when not to. It's not as much of a boom type play as it is, hey, okay, I'm going to move it wide, whether it's Richie on his left or, since he's a lefty, on the right side, it's Coyle, Charlie Coyle. We don't know what happened, by the way, to Charlie Coyle. Bruce didn't give us any update post-game. But anyway, so Coyle drives, Kuraly drives the net hard from Pastrnak. A beautiful pass from Pastrnak, freezes everybody. Bruins are up 3-2. Did they let up after that? I think they did. I think they just did the old, okay, they came back on us. We just scored. Let's lock it down the last 8-9 minutes.
That's exactly what it felt like. That's exactly how they played. And it just, you see them on the bench and they're giggling and like, if that's a playoff game, those guys aren't laughing at 3-2 and they're not joking around and they're still all business. And to the point, they let the foot off the gas a little bit. And New Jersey, to their credit, they have younger legs at this point. They still want to go score their goals. And then at that situation, they just start making long passes and they start breaking the zone and they broke down the Bruins through the neutral zone. So listen, if this was 2-3 months ago, we'd be talking about their killer instinct. We'd be talking about how frustrating it is. I think we understand the situation they're in, but they certainly they dropped a point tonight that typically, or at least in the last 12 games, they haven't done.
What did you think of Carlo coming back and playing? He had, 21 minutes in the game?
20-51, right?
On 20. Yeah. What did you think of his effort?
I liked it. I thought it was solid. I didn't notice him make any mistakes egregiously. He did a nice job offensively, which was nice. He jumped right in and had confidence to jump in, maybe more confidence even prior, just because of all the skills he's been doing with Kim and being at Warrior, moving your feet. You come off of that and probably feel pretty good about where your skill level, your puck handle level is. And for him, and we said on the broadcast, or I said on the broadcast, for him, it's all about how he wakes up tomorrow morning, and you said how he recovers, how he feels the next game, and then after that, the next game, an afternoon game without a morning skate. It was all about him getting through the game tonight. And listen, he's a massive piece, and he's more of he's not as important, and I use that loosely, against the New Jersey Devils. He's a big deal against Pittsburgh. He's a big deal against the Washington Capitals. Those are the games he lives to and looks to play for, rather than a New Jersey Devil game.
Why don't we give him, even though I thought Taylor Hall played very well too, we'll give Carlo the fresh cup because he's fresh. He was back in the lineup for this game on Tuesday night. And as always, the Fresh Cup is brought to you by Fazenda Coffee Roasters, Fazenda, FazendaCoffee.com. If you go online and you put in Morning Brew, you'll get 15% off your first order. And folks, we are working. In fact, we've ordered some more mugs, so we're hoping that they're coming in soon. Check out Fazenda. They are dedicated to roasting the perfect cup of coffee. They are the people behind the coffee at Davio's and other fine restaurants are all around Boston. You can find them at your local Whole Foods. Razor, you telling me that Erin started using her ground coffee, right? Her medium roast.
In the medium. She's all in now. So
awesome.
It's that's the morning one cooking, and then I've got my can of my chilled, and it's been a nice start to each of my mornings the past 10 days. Really nice stuff.
Awesome stuff. And I can't wait to open up. I have a bag of it's called Mexico roast back here, and I can't wait to get that one soon going. So thank you to Fazenda as always. Brandon Carlo gets our fresh cup of the game just because he's back in and he's going to be an important piece of the puzzle for this team. You said it. If playing Pitt, you got to get him against Evgeny Malkin.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who you're going to put him up against there. You're playing Washington. Well, you're going to get him up either against Kuznetsov or Ovechkin or whomever, one of those guys. He looks to be in great frame of mind. He's very vocal. he had 3 shots on goal, 2 other attempts too in this game. So nice to have him back. Let's hope that he can get in all of the remaining games. I think it's very important that
I
he
think
gets
so
them
too.
all in.
Yeah.
He feels good. And then in theory, he should have a couple of days off before playoffs begin. We keep hearing the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, will be the first game for the Bruins after the regular season ends on Tuesday for them. All right, let's go through a few other players. Taylor Hall. I thought Taylor had a really nice game, even though the third line, which, again, got reconfigured due to the fact that Charlie Coyle didn't play in the third period, was excellent, too, in this game, Kuraly and Ritchie in particular. I thought the second line was good, better than the previous night, but in particular, Taylor Hall had a lot of jump. We saw him off the rush, pushing back defense regularly, and we had another prime example of what was in the second period with a 200-foot game coming back on the back check.
Yeah, the back checks are what's impressive. His intensity, it showed tonight, even though maybe not everyone had that. That chance he had that went offside, he didn't know there was a backside man offside, and I'm not sure which forward it was, but he was choked about it. He was pissed off, and he was yelling at everyone. He was getting into it. I was in Canada a little bit when he was in. I don't remember seeing him like that in any situation, and I think that's that intensity on the back check that he's brought to this game. He's bought in, and he recognizes that he can go a run and be a big marquee name for this league down the stretch. That's what I recognize right away, and really nice job for him playing a 200-foot game. Gets another goal, gets rewarded going to the net, getting hit, getting backing off the D, like you've said, just using his speed really impressively, and certainly a massive game from him despite the loss. Just really nice job from him on the second line.
Mike Riley comes back into the lineup, plays 20 minutes and 54 seconds. When I say I didn't notice him as much, it doesn't mean that he wasn't fine, wasn't good, meaning compared to some of his first games where you just noticed him all the time, getting to pucks, keeping him alive. I don't feel like this game after the second period had a lot of that. I felt like the Bruins were retreating, even though the New Jersey Devils only ended up with, 21 shots, and they had 6 in the third period. I thought there was a lot of mishandling of pucks overall in the neutral zone, and therefore they weren't constantly winning battles and keeping plays alive and doing what guys like Mike Riley have done so well the last couple of weeks for this team. But he was good. It's obviously great to have him back in the lineup. I think you see an awful lot of what your D it could look like come playoff time outside of the fact that Kevin Miller didn't play in this game. Connor Clifton was still in, but Connor's going to have to be ready because I do think that he will be the fourth right D looking in, so to speak, come playoff time. So you'll have McAvoy, Carlo, and then Kevin Miller on the right. On the left, you'll have Grzelcyk. You'll have Lausanne, most likely, and then you'll have Riley. The question's going to become, again, is how do you line them up? Well, we've talked a little bit about that already, but we've got a couple of games. Are you really going to know after playing the New York Rangers 2 times the next 2 games? No, you'll probably have a much better idea Monday and Tuesday when you have the Islanders and then the Washington Capitals. Do you agree with
100%.
that?
Well, it's a holding pattern, and it's a hope for maybe home ice in the first round, basically in the next 2 games. Get the points, deal with it, but to judge, to assess, to make decisions off of the past 2 games, the Devils game, the second game on a back-to-back against New Jersey, and then these 2 games against the Rangers is difficult. You're going to start, because again, you're going to start looking at matchups and who you're actually playing against. That's going to be the big decision factor with the defense, I believe. Who plays with who is going to depend on what the forwards are on the other line or on the other side, and if you have home ice advantage or not. So look to see, I want to see all 6 guys that Bruce Cassidy, Kevin Dean, the team, the organization have in mind. Game 1 of the playoffs, I want to see them all together here in the next couple days, but I don't think we'll necessarily, I'm not going to judge it and say this worked or this didn't work.
All right, so speaking of defense, and I want to touch on the power play because they did score a goal in this game. Bergeron scored the goal at the 4:36 mark, right? Trying to get my time right, of the second period. Do you think that Grzelcyk will constantly remain on the number one power play, running that as the QB, or do you think we'll start seeing Riley as well up there? We're seeing more Grizz in this game, but what do you think about that?
I think we will see Grizz more, at least to start.
Okay.
I think they want Grizz to be that guy. I think the familiarity is certainly with the first group. I think with the second group, you look at that, and that works better with Riley. Krejci can play off it. Taylor Hall's a newer guy. Smith's a newer guy. But with the first unit, they've done things a certain way. And I know Grizz wasn't out there all the time. It was a Torrey Krug spot, but Grizz was there. Grizz was doing it when Torrey wasn't in the lineup the last few years. Grizz know exactly how those guys think, and it is different, but I think they want Grizz to be there because of that familiarity the last 3 years.
It's interesting. If you look at the power play time on ice in this game, Riley played 1 second of power play time. You had Grzelcyk, who played 2:42, along with Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand played 2:42. The other guys all, I'm even looking up McAvoy's numbers right now, how much he had 2:17 of power play time with that second unit. So Mike Rowley didn't even get any. I thought he got a little more, so I was wrong on that. I thought he got under a minute, but I thought he got some, and then I realized I guess I didn't see him out there. So Riley was just with 1 second. Now he did kill 2 minutes and 24 seconds of shorthanded time, so he got out there. It's interesting because he was playing some power play time before, and I know Grizz was working his way.
Yeah, for anyone not on YouTube, I'm doing my thinking man because I hadn't recognized that either. I'm wondering what the idea is because you would expect Riley to be a power play guy. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, they did change the pairs after the first period. Lausanne moved off playing with McAvoy, and Grzelcyk bumped up, I guess you would say, to play with him there. That's something that Bruce Cassidy. He felt that he needed to give perhaps his team a spark. All right. So maybe that's our spark moment, moving Grzelcyk back up there as I segue into. You know what I did this morning? Legit. I went downstairs at about 7:45, and I had an opportunity to get on the ice again this morning at 8:45. And can't pass it up.
Gave those beauties a buzz. You don't want to lose it yet.
I did.
Gave those a buzz.
I did. I put them on there. I clipped them into my Sparks machine and into the sharpener, and it was the simplest thing. I set it, gone, 2 passes. That's all I need, and it is so perfect. So Sparks, the great skate sharpener out there who became a sponsor of our show just the other day, just want to quickly tell you about them. Go to sparkshockey.com, SPARX hockey.com. If you order one, they're in stock. They'll ship them out to you the same day. You get the perfect edge with them. I know you use them for all your kids and for yourself. I use them regularly for me and for Jake. It is so convenient. It is so easy. I'm not selling. I'm telling you the honest to God truth, folks. They are beautiful looking machines, especially the new ones. And you can get your choice of rings. They've got like 20 different rings, all the different styles and the radius and everything. I use 5/8. Some people like 1/2 inch or 7/8. I've always liked 5/8. It gets me the better edge that I like. And it literally takes about 4 or 5 minutes, and it was done. So did that this morning, and I'm just thankful that I've had one, that I was able to get one and ordered one from them a couple of years ago.
I took too long to get mine. We got ours this winter, and it's been the best. And we have goalie skates and player skates. Mace Man's a goalie. Just a little plastic button you press, little insert you put on. He can do it himself. He puts that on, gives himself. He buzzes them more than the Twins do, and certainly more than the old man does, because I just stand out there and push pucks around. But it's been a massive addition.
Well, you need it when you play in the alumni games.
I do.
You've gone the whole.
They have one too.
Yeah, you've gone the whole coaching glove route.
They have one too.
They do.
Absolutely.
That's right. They do. So check out sparkshockey.com. Highly valuable piece of machinery.
It's a no-brainer.
It is awesome. All right. Thanks again to Spark. I want to get your opinion because we're going to wrap things up here in the next couple of minutes. The Bruins are playing the New York Rangers, and we didn't really talk about the Tom Wilson thing after Monday's game. The league did not suspend him. The league gave him a $5,000 fine, which is nothing for him. He's making 4.5 or whatever. Yeah. It's interesting. You've had some. If on social media, people like former enforcers, and Tom Wilson isn't just an enforcer. He can also play when he's not having brain cramps, and doing stupid crap. But John Scott lambasted him and the league, a guy who made his living fighting. Meanwhile, a guy like Kelly Chase said it was nothing. It happens all the time. PJ Stock actually talked about it as well. I'm thinking of some other names that kind of chuckled about how stuff like that happened all the time. I think Chris Dingman did as well. I stand where enough is enough. He got, the funny thing is they punished him, and I say punished or fined him for the Buchnevich rabbit punch the back of the head when Buchnevich had his face on the ice. They didn't do anything for the Panarin portion of this where, they started wrestling a bit, but then he went after a star player in New York City and threw him to the ice. And if it wasn't for a glove being under the head of Panarin, he cracks his head on the ice. And by the way, he hurt his knee. He's out. So I just listen, man. Some people say, "Well, this is old time hockey." That's not old time hockey. If you did that in the Big Bad Bruin era, if you did that in the Philadelphia Flyer era, even if you did that in the '90s when guys were fighting regularly, that's a brawl happening right there. That's a brawl. That would not have been tolerated. We don't have much fighting in the game anymore, so it's not. But anyways, I think something had to have been done, and I do think the league missed on this one.
Yeah, and unfortunately the league, they've backed themselves into the corner on a few of these plays this year, a few of these suspensions, and they've put themselves where they've tied their hands. And it isn't an old school hockey play because never was it a bully against the superstar. It was always two goons that would toss each other around in one of those scrums. It was always, and if there was someone that went after a guy that's 30 pounds lighter than them in a scrum like that, there was a lot of payment to be made for the rest of that team back in those days. So there's a bit of an issue in the league with a few of the bigger guys, and Wilson's at the top of the list times 10 at this point, where he's become a bully. He's a great white shark, and he really recognizes that there's no one else that's going to take me on. I'm the number one predator. I can do whatever I want. And so many teams have gone away from it that it's now down. Down to the league to take care of it, because the league doesn't want the goon stuff. Well, if you don't want this goon stuff, you have to step in if you have a guy who's going around bullying people. It has to be done.
Would he have done that against Vegas where Ryan Reeves is?
Well, if he did, he's gonna pay the piper 2 or 3 times the rest of the night. So I don't think so. And listen, it happens. Would he do it against Calgary? Would Milan Lucic go around taking people on over and over again if he knew that he was going to have to fight nonstop? Ryan Reeves, would he pick on people like I feel like there's a group of those guys that do that at certain times. And Wilson's, again, number one persona non grata on that he knows that no one on the Rangers is going to touch him. So does the league want teams to start having one of those guys on the taxi squad, or does the league want to nip it in the bud and get it's finally, like, how many millions of dollars does Tom Wilson need to lose before he gets it?
Well, if somebody's willing to fight a little bit, right, a tough guy, a big guy, why wouldn't they now just go into a scrum and a pile and just start picking guys out and just start throwing them around a little bit? And, how do you now justify if somebody else, if you're the league, if somebody goes to do this and there's a scrum, a hockey play, as we'll call it, and then there's a battle, a permissible in hockey, and part of the game that I love, you love, I mean, that all right. But now you start punching a guy in the back of that, and then you start grabbing a star. And every other league protects its stars, right? If that happened to Connor McDavid, right?
But
what happens there? But
and that's the same thing, right?
But,
like that's what he did. That's essentially what he did. I mean, I know Panarin's not Connor McDavid, but he's really close. He's a big deal in New York City, and he shouldn't have to be tackled by this Wilson guy. That's
right.
as much of the issue as anything else.
Right, but it seems like the Department of Player Safety is saying, well, that happens in hockey. That's what makes our sport different. So I think they're at the crossroads of having to decide if they want to protect those type of players and the entertainment that they provide, the extra value that they provide, or do you want to let a guy who has crossed the line numerous times continue to do that stuff? And I think they've put themselves into a corner.
They have. They really have. And it's the same thing, like you said, guys saying it's old time hockey. It is old time. Yes, we can say it's old time hockey, but in the point of this, it's old time hockey that's long gone. We're way past old time. There's no such thing as old time hockey anymore. Like if you're living in that era, you're past you by. Like this is a different hockey. Right. It's going on ESPN. It's going on Turner Sports. This is This is about skill and speed and making plays.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious how everything's going to play out on this. I'm really curious how Zdeno Chara feels about all this too. On an aside, he's an honorable man who would always tell you when you were going to have to, pay the piper and fight him. And, it was, it's going to be interesting to see. Maybe one day we can end up talking to him about it.
A couple of years from now we'll hear. But the reality of this is a good example is that he would never grab Artemi Panarin and toss him to a ground in a scrum. That's
right. I get it.
That would never happen.
I get it.
Never happen.
Right.
That's old-time hockey.
And we're talking about it because the next two games that the Bruins face are against the New York Rangers, a team that is out of it, obviously, as the Bruins took the last of the 4 playoff spots in the East Division after their Monday night win. But the Rangers come in with some better play from younger players. However, they're very injured. No Panarin as he's out with the lower body knee injury. Some other injuries on their defense. But, look, the Bruins need these games. Let's just see them play focused on Thursday night. Should be okay, but doesn't mean they're going to be. Look what happened when they lost their focus to the New Jersey Devils. The Devils played – if you allow the Rangers to play open hockey too, that's exactly what they want. Force them to have to play structured hockey. And you should be. Again, emphasis on should be okay. All right. Anything else you want to cover before we say goodbye on this one? I'm sure I missed something. That's how it is.
We nailed it.
We didn't talk a lot of chicken parm. I'll tell you, the Emilio's chicken parm sandwich was very, very good. Very good. Different than Big Daddy's, and not as much sauce and not as much cheese, but I put my extra sauce on, so I'm fine. And their hot peppers, were a little different. They were more of a sauce than they were chopped up cherry peppers like you have at Big Daddy's. But I'm saying 2 for 2, and the meatball sandwich is very good.
I don't eat breakfast tomorrow, so that's the bonus. That was a big boy.
I will. That's the difference between you and me. Professional eater. Don't try this at home. All right. Happy birthday again, buddy.
And you
enjoy it.
The big boy
all right.
Again.
And yeah. Happy birthday. Enjoy it. And we'll see you on Thursday night. We will, or I guess we'll talk after Thursday night's game as the Bruins will take on the New York Rangers. That'll wrap it up for Morning Brew with Jaffe and an old man. His name is Razor. Bruins lose in overtime 4-3. Have a wonderful Wednesday wherever you are. And thank you to everybody again for ordering through Fazenda and getting the mug. We saw a lot of pictures. Great stuff. Oh, by the way, hand wash, not dishwasher. Hand wash. Keep the logo on longer. Have a great day and enjoy your wonderful coffee.